Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Jessica Clemons, and we are on episode 7 of Gen V, the last episode before the finale, and oh my god. Too much happens in this episode. We're faced with horrible consequences, a monster returns among us, and for the love of God, Marie, please stop leaving. We'll get into all of it this episode and this breakdown, because what is going on here? But first, before we get into it, make sure to check out nerdride.shop where you can find the latest and greatest in New Rockstars merch. We got some Godolphin University merch, and we know it looks good, and I usually wear it, but I cried into it because this episode ends on a note that I don't really want to think about. Nazis. Go to nerdride.shop. It's the best way to support the channel is through wearing our cool swag. Also, our Peacemaker merch is really sick. Go check it out. Episode 7 is titled Hell Week. It's the time in a college student's life where you study for your finals and your local fraternities do their worst hazing, which we'll see in a very, very, very gross way later on in this episode. We open on what we think is Marie's nightmare, but it's actually a dream vision from Annabeth. Since the last episode, we've learned that Annabeth is a precog and she can get glimpses of the future as visions for her superpower. While the powers are still a bit touch and go and unknown to us, Kia King, who plays Annabeth, told the Wrap sometimes they're images, sometimes they're voices, and she doesn't know when they'll show up. Sometimes they can be extremely painful depending on what it is, and we see how it pains her when she has a vision on campus later in the episode. An interesting little detail in this interview is the soups we see in Gen V usually have their powers aligned with real human conditions or disorders or struggles, and Annabeth's powers are a metaphor for anxiety, and as such, she sees the bad things coming. She can plan for it, but she doesn't know how to fix it, and it can leave you in a kind of frozen-like state, which we see throughout this episode. She's constantly freezing. As Marie's pupils dilate, we cut to a pool of blood spreading below her. Drops of someone's blood, possibly Marie's own blood, we don't know yet, and it's dropping onto her face. In slow motion, the long spindles fall, and with her pupils normal again, the light changes red, and the edges of the frame have this little simple flare effect waving over the screen. Marie hits her head on the floor, and we see her eyes begin to close. We'll get into this vision and what it means to the finale at the very end of the video. I saved it for our spoiler section because we're gonna go over scenes we haven't seen yet in the show of Gen V from the trailers. In the blood, Annabeth stands in a gray sweatshirt begging Marie to wake up. This is our first time living in Annabeth's vision, so we don't really know if it's normal that she's actually here, but we do see how the fragments work. Annabeth runs to Jordan's room, and as soon as she bursts in, Jordan switches forms just in case of the emergency. They discover that Kate and Marie are also gone, and Jordan is understandably upset at Marie because she left them behind again. With Marie and Kate now, I don't know where they got this car, but it turns out that Marie may actually be able to drive. She just doesn't have a license. Kay keeps trying to get Marie to heal her, and Marie says she doesn't know if she can, but it definitely just seems like she doesn't want to because she can't trust Kate, and she's not wrong for that. And I will say, this entire episode, I'm still not Team Kate. You're gonna hear a lot of me denouncing Kate in this episode. Last episode, it was Annabeth. This episode, it's Kate. In Kate and Marie's conversation, Kate begs and pleads and says this.
I'm gonna prove it to you. Somehow, you'll see. I'm different.
And this makes me think that Kate might die this season. I don't know. It feels like she takes guilt to heart sometimes. She doesn't have a family, and most of the people around her don't really like her or trust her, so I can see her doing something super selfless and just like reckless with her life by the end of the season. Maybe not though. Maybe she'll survive. Now with Annabeth and Jordan speeding to find Marie, Jordan acknowledges that Sam and Emma aren't with them because Sam can't fly. He can jump. So in a way, he's kind of like the Hulk, and his brother is like the Human Torch. Annabeth says she had her powers since she was little when she started having nightmares that came true. We'll later learn that she had the nightmare of her parents dying before it even happened, so even then, Annabeth had developed powers well before Marie had. And she obviously hates having powers and being around soups all the time. And then here is when Jordan kind of acknowledges that maybe the relationship between them and Marie is over, and if it's over, I'm over with this show. I ain't watching it. I need Jordan to be in love all the time. Cypher's place is unguarded, and normally he's got a human bodyguard. The door is open, which is also not a good sign. Luckily, this is now Kate's second time breaking into Cypher's house, so she knows the deal. She knows what to do. To make matters worse, the giant steel door that we saw in episode 4 is now open, and it took the security guard's keys to open it last time, but we should have known that it was Polarity there that opened this door, which means the dude was making his condition way worse, opening those steel doors with his powers before they even arrived. Marie hears Polarity's heartbeat before seeing him, and she believes it's Godolphin, but surprise, surprise, he isn't there. Now with Cypher, he theorizes that Polarity's magnetic control interrupted the magnetic impulses of the brain, and therefore his mind control powers. I like that he acknowledges that his entire plan is over if someone like Polarity just exists, which feels like, you know, as an expert of soups, you didn't see that one coming? You might not be a good scientist. Then he starts beating the shit out of himself. Spoilers, we learn that later he is Godolphin at the end of the episode. He does this as like self-punishment or self-harm, which is a big theme for this season. He literally was about to kill himself though with this canister, which is insane. Cypher gets an alert on his phone on an app called V Defender, which I assume is like Voss security, like ADT security system. This is the camera for his sitting room. He then says it may be time for a big sacrifice. And who could it be this time? Was Annabeth not enough? Polarity gets worked up again, thinking about what Cypher did to Andre, and he starts having a seizure, which puts his powers on the fritz. And instinctively, Marie grabs his hand and heals him. And this proves that she can also fix Kate. In doing so, she starts to crash out and hurt Kate in the process. It's similar to how she revived Annabeth, but hurt Jordan, Kate, and Emma in the process. The Gen Z showrunner explained that though Marie's save in Elmira was impressive, what happened to Marie's sister had just happened. So I would not go as far to say that she can resurrect the dead. She healed this person who maybe didn't have a heartbeat anymore, but they had not all the way died. Marie's powers is down to the cells, almost down to the molecules of the blood. So since she basically is manipulating the molecules of someone's body, telling them to like fix this, I believe she's indirectly harming those unaffected around her. Marie's been doing this for how long? A week? It was like 2 weeks ago that she was still cutting her hand to use her powers, and you think in a week she'll know how to restart and shift Soup's molecules to heal them properly? Her powers are super messy, so I believe she's manipulating everyone's cells in the vicinity, and those uninjured are just getting their cells completely fucked with, including her own. I think that's what I'm assuming. Back on campus, Sam accidentally runs into Dickless Rufus, who berates Sam about missing out on his frat duties. The boy with a pocket dimension in his asshole keeps the pledges in his butt during Hell Week, and I don't even know if I can show this. Honestly, do you really want to see it? Do you want to see a giant child come out of a butthole? Ooh, I don't know if you noticed, but he doesn't know which pledge is on which leash in his asshole, so that's what Gen V and God use up to. Sam is put in charge of the pledge who's wearing a diaper, and just like Godokin, the burn guy that we saw earlier, they're like twins now. And it feels like in the finale, people will just think that he's a part of Hell Week in the frat life on campus in that diaper. Greg shows up to help Emma, and immediately we're stuck in a weird love triangle now. However, I do like that people are clocking that Sam and Kate were once Vought pawns. Maybe you can trust them, maybe you can't. I don't know, I'm just saying. Emma's also setting more boundaries with Sam, and that's good for her because Sam is also healing his trauma, and this season is all about trauma, self-harm, and healing it all. I also love that Emma and Greg rush to hug each other, and it's in front of the translucent statue because there's just no statue there. Also, Greg can fly. Later we learn that he also can withstand a lot of damage. Thank you for BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. It is very easy for me to get so overwhelmed by tasks and deadlines and work stuff and life stuff. It feels like a swarm of bees and I'm just doing my best to not get stung. And this happens occasionally at new Rockstars, and normally in the summers when big releases are coming out, it's just too much to handle. So we do a lot here, and it can be hard to know where to start or what's the best path to take, and it's very stressful. A therapist reminded me once the best place to start is wherever you can, and that sometimes knocking out 1 or 2 simple tasks, even if they're lower priority, can help you feel less overwhelmed, which makes it easier to do the important stuff. So even though there's bigger fish to fry, sometimes I'll start by just catching up on emails or even just doing laundry so I can have a minor accomplishment to get the ball rolling. I've experienced firsthand how helpful therapy can be and why BetterHelp is the sponsor for today's video. They make starting therapy super easy. BetterHelp makes starting therapy easy. Just head to betterhelp.com/newrockstars, fill out a questionnaire, and you'll be matched with a licensed therapist in as little as a couple of days. If for whatever reason you and your therapist don't click, you can switch therapists at any time for no extra cost. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform you can trust. Click the link in the description, scan the QR code, or go to betterhelp.com/newrockstars to get 10% off your first month of therapy. Polarity, Marie, and Kate fight about whether or not Kate should be healed, and I'll tell you what, when Kate said this,
Thank you. She won't listen to reason on this one.
I almost flipped out like Marie. Girl, you were a traitor. You might have changed, but I'll never forget how you acted at the end of last season. If I was Marie, I'd be like, remember, your arm's gone because of me and what you did to me. That's done. You're not getting healed. I can't trust you, Kate. Kate and Polarity refer to Vought's manipulation tactics as the Vought machine, and last episode it was the Vought playbook. And I think the writers want us to believe that there's this gray area. However, I'm a bitch, and you're either with Vought or you're not. But to play devil's advocate here, I mean, it could be the fact that Vought creates situations you feel are impossible to say no to, and the fact that they manipulate you into believing it's your choice, but it really just isn't. And I think it's a way to show that even in the worst decision-making moments, some of these characters are still victims too, even when they're aligned with Vought. And maybe I disagree slightly with that sentiment, but to each their own. I just can't forgive Kate right now. I just can't yet. Cypher calls his office phone knowing Marie is there through the Vought cameras, and he's literally been spying on everyone all the time through this device. Even when he was taking a dump, he was looking at the phone and probably through the cameras. He's got the student union even on there and the vault doors access in the seminar, so getting the phone will probably help them in the last episode. Getting out of the van, Annabeth receives another vision and the bars on the window from the training room, so they speed off there. We get a flash of the God U student rankings with Marie as number 1 now, Sam as number 2, and a girl named Zoe Gonzalez is number 3. Number 4 is Jenny Phillips, number 5 is Lily Guggenheim, and number 6 is Charles Sands. Then the other lights come in and it's really hard to read 7, 9, and 10's name, but number 8 is definitely Maverick, the pervert. Sam is fighting with his bondage baby when Emma intrudes, and behind them is a Whataburger. Kate, Polarity, and Marie are then intercepted by Jordan and Annabeth, then by Greg, Emma, Sam, and the bondage baby. Marie's not listening to anyone when they try to stop her from confronting Cypher, and girl, you're about to play right into Cypher Godolkin's hands, so listen to your damn friends. Everybody on this show makes me so mad. I think Marie is buying some of her own hype, which is precisely what Cypher wanted and what Sage projected would happen. The truth comes out that Annabeth saw her parents' deaths, and she kept Marie at a distance because she felt guilty and hated herself for not stopping it, and our girl still won't listen to reason. Marie uses her powers against her friends, and just like Kate did last year, and man, how power can corrupt everyone, you know. Even though Marie thinks she's doing the right thing, she obviously is not if she's gotta hurt her friends to do it. She's worse than Kate now. At the Gladiator seminar room, Cypher looks at all the weapons at his disposal. A harpoon, a polearm, so many variations of swords and blades. And then Polarity comes in and just starts beating that ass and at full strength. And it's awesome because we've never really got to see Polarity at full strength before. Cypher asks where Marie is, and like an idiot, everyone falls for his tricks and traps. Then Cypher describes Polarity's abilities to disrupt him.
I figured out your little trick, Polarity. It's like TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation. You create changing magnetic fields to mess with nerve cells in the noggin.
What's he talking about? If he tries to control any of us, I can stop it.
Yeah, well, that's the theory. So I guess you don't need to be scared now, Jordan.
And Cypher's bitch ass uses the kids as weapons, switching their bodies to fight his battles, which is precisely what he's gonna end up doing with Marie after she revives Godolkin in the final scene. Jesus Christ, I'm theorizing. I don't know yet, I'm just theorizing. In the basement, Marie begins healing Godolkin, and you can see his whip marks on his body from the belt slashes earlier. His pupils dilate and then return to their original color. His skin bubbles back to this smooth finish. And while that's happening, Polarity blasts that pulse, knocking everyone on their ass. And I think it's this pulse that was faint in Annabeth's vision. I think that pulse will knock Godolkin out of Marie and cause her to pass out, but not before, maybe possibly, making Godolkin or Polarity explode. We know someone's getting exploded, I just don't think it's Marie. Marie has fully healed Godolkin, this almost 100-year-old man, and he's being weird. Like, he's being a little too weird. I guess after not moving and being in pain 24/7, I mean, yeah, I'd have a pseudo orgasm too, I guess, coming back to life. The music hits this sour note after he says thank you the first time and before he says it the second time, because this is about to go very, 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 very wrong. This was all Sage's plan. That woman is pulling the strings on the boys. She's pulling the strings here. Someone's got to get rid of her. Otherwise, it's just going to keep happening. Then Cypher turns out to be a regular man.
I'm not him.
The real guy, Doug Brightbill, was fired from his job at Blockbuster and drives and lives in his red Honda Civic, assuming it's because he lost his job at Blockbuster. And I'm sure his cat Buster is unfortunately dead by now. So he literally has been trapped as Cypher with Godolkin in his head for only God knows how long, but long enough that this man is quoting very, very old school things. And since he's some random non-suit person, he's completely messed up. Like, he's gonna have so many injuries from getting beat up. The real question here is, who introduced Godolkin to Doug in the first place? If Godolkin was kept half alive in a hyperbaric chamber all this time, how did the two even meet? Given Doug's red Honda Civic, it's possible he was just a pizza delivery guy who showed up at the wrong place and ended up mind controlled by a half-dead man from the 60s. Kate gives Godolkin a look when he says to not be broken and useless anymore, and she's empathizing with him, but also remembering when Cypher said the same thing to her about their value, how it comes and goes with their powers. Marie, you should have healed Kate. I guess you should have healed Kate. You know what? Sometimes egg on my face. You should have healed Kate and you would have had a better chance here. Now on campus and free and feeling the wind on his freshly healed skin, Godolkin runs into this guy, Bondage Baby, who can turn his feet into hands. Technically, his big toes turn into opposable thumbs, so he might be a nod to like Beast from the X-Men, since he often used his feet like hands, possibly. After forcing him to strangle himself because his powers are seen as useless, poor guy, he takes his Nazi-like soup agenda to the world. He leaves while 1953 Sinatra's Young at Heart plays off in the distance. I also love that Godolkin's like, the sun almost makes you want to believe there's a fucking heaven, which is absurd. Dear Lord, this man is a wild ass man. He's a mad scientist, which, you know what? America doesn't really want this guy. Why would America want this guy? And that's where the episode ends. And God forbid Marie, you stupid girl. Oh God, she's not dumb. They all came to this bad conclusion. Now, as far as the finale goes, there's actually so much to look forward to. If you don't want the trailer spoilers, then turn me off now. Okay, let's get into it. We haven't yet seen this dance scene with the students from the school and blood everywhere around them, I presume under Godolkin's control, and Rufus is one of the supes, and Rufus's powers aren't necessarily useless, but he has psychic-like powers, hypnosis, and can read minds. And I think it makes sense after recognizing what polarity can actually do that Godolkin begins, culling the supes that have neurological defenses. So I think Marie will have to kill Rufus. However, we do see this person use some form of electric power, so these could just be people Godolkin thinks aren't useless and making them fight to stay alive. This would make a lot of sense because you technically couldn't just kill like a bunch of supes undetected, but in a classroom that teaches them to fight and it's an accidental casualty, that's a little bit different. Also, the boys just love a dance sequence, so it makes sense that there's a dance sequence here. Marie's holding up her hands, presumably to use her powers on whoever might be Sam. We also get the scene of Marie using the blood of the fallen students to fight someone. Then a man, I think is Ethan Slater's Godolkin, and Marie up against who I think is Polarity, fully powered, baby. And the electric current that EMP knocks them back like it did Cypher last episode. Oh, and also Black Noir is appearing at some point. He'll probably be fighting Polarity like the trailer suggests. So is Black Noir there because Godolkin's loose and Vought is protecting him, or is it because Sage is sending her own goons to do her dirty work? Comment down below your thoughts on episode 7. What do you think is gonna happen in the finale? Someone's gotta die. And I hope it's Godolkin. It has to be Ethan Slater. But if it's Polarity, I will lose my mind. Follow me at Lulu_Clemons. Subscribe to all the channels in the new Rockstars Network for breakdowns and news coverage of everything you love. Big thanks to Gina Ippolito for helping me write this episode. Gina is my best girl. Go check out her breakdown on the Witching Hour. You go, Gina. You go, Glen Coco. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next week.